It began with a signal. It was not a warning. It was not a message of peace. It was a broadcast, and it played everywhere. The broadcast reached every corner of the galaxy in ships, on colonies, on massive orbital stations and city squares. And on private comms, no one asked for it. No one could stop it. It forced itself into every screen and every speaker. The picture was clear. Cold metal. Harsh light, chains, and silence. 10 human prisoners were lined up in a row, kneeling. Bloody, broken, heads down, hands bound. Behind them stood armored guards tall, scaled beings with yellow eyes. The same species who had declared war on Earth 6 years ago. The Drex Dominion, ruthless, old, powerful. A species that had ruled for centuries by fear. Now they smiled. Their leader stepped forward. His name was High Marshal Krevel. His voice echoed through the transmission. To all who watch, Krevel said, "Let this be a lesson." He walked behind the humans, slowly. "They came from a savage world," he continued. "They refused to obey. They killed our soldiers. They insulted our throne. And now," he raised one clawed hand, "now they pay." And then he nodded. Flash, a scream. Body dropped. The first human was executed live. A small girl in a refugee colony screamed and dropped her toy. A traitor in orbit threw up in his pilot chair. 100 alien senators turned off their screens, but too late. It had seen Krevel continued walking. Another flash, another scream. Another body fell, and the galaxy kept watching. Some in the crowd laughed. Some clapped. Some turned away. But somewhere, far beyond, in a dark underground bunker on Earth, a man watched in silence. His face didn't move. His eyes didn't blink. He had seen this before, but not like this. His name was General Rourke, retired, forgotten, buried under layers of Earth's deepest black projects. They had shut him down after the last war, locked his weapons, killed his command codes. But now, someone had lit the match again. His screen turned black after the 10th human was killed. Krevel's last words echoed before silence. Returned, "Let Earth know we are not afraid of them. We are not impressed by them. We are not finished." The broadcast ended, but Earth had already received it, and Earth never forgets. On Mars Station Delta, a group of young engineers stood in shock. One of them, a girl barely 20, stared at the empty screen. "Did that just happen?" she whispered. Nobody answered. Alarms began to beep across the room. One by one, satellites woke up. Old military arrays, quiet for decades, began to spin. Systems reconnected. Firewalls collapsed. Orders ancient, hidden deadly. Dash reactivated. Far below the Martian surface, a vault opened on its own. Inside it, something glowed red dot back on Earth, in the North Pacific, deep beneath the sea floor. Another signal triggered. The Leviathan-class war factory, once thought destroyed, began to hum in its heart. Massive machines moved for the first time in years. Robot arms lifted metal. Old frames, covered in dust, were cleaned. And weapons once banned by galactic law came alive again. The galaxy did not see. Earth's response, not yet. They only saw silence. No messages, no threats, and no public response. But Earth was not quiet. Earth was preparing. Krevel sat on his throne days later. It received no reply from Earth. He was pleased, cowards, he thought. He had expected screams, rage, maybe a warning, but silence. Perfect. His generals agreed. One of them, a fat-scaled creature named Virezg, laughed. Maybe Earth finally knows who rules this galaxy. Krevel smiled. They should, they will. He stood up and raised a glass of dark liquid. "To victory," he said. But just before the glass touched his lips, one of his aides burst in. "High Marshal," the aide shouted. There's something you must see." Krevel narrowed his eyes. "Speak. It's one of our border stations." "Station Varnikneen. It's gone." Krevel frowned. "Gone?" "Yes, sir. Not damaged. Not attacked. Gone. Nothing left. Just silence. Crevel dropped the glass. On a mining moon orbiting the gas giant Jolaran, a Drex captain sat in his command center. His crew was relaxed. The humans were weak. There would be no counterattack. Then the stars vanished. He blinked. The sky outside had turned black. Night black. Smoke black. Something massive was above them. No lights. No ID. No known engine signature. Just a shadow that blocked out the sun. He opened. Comes, identify yourself. Don't reply. Do you hear me? This is Drex territory. You're in violation. The sky exploded. The moon never sent another message. A week passed. Then 2. Then 5 more Drex colonies stopped responding. No signals. No escape pods. No survivors. Just silence. Whispers started to spread. Some said it was Earth. Others said it couldn't be. Earth didn't have that kind of power there. A backwater, someone said. Primitive. But someone else replied, that's what they want you to think. In a hidden listening post orbiting the planet Lurex, a young alien analyst received a strange signal. It was a human voice. Old, broken, faint. He increased the volume. This is Earth's strategic command. To all who watched the broadcast, we saw. The voice paused. We remember who clapped, who laughed, who turned away. The analyst leaned forward, heart racing, and to those who think we forgot how to fight. The signal got louder. You forgot who taught you war. Then silence. But just before the transmission ended, the screen flashed one word. Reckoning. Panic started to spread in the Senate halls. Ambassadors argued. The Drex demanded action. The Elvari warned that Earth had old weapons, very old, very dangerous. The Zarnok claimed Earth was bluffing, but none of them moved, because all of them had seen the broadcast and all of them knew it had done nothing. They had watched. And Earth had seen in a classroom on Earth, a child raised her. Hand teacher, why is everyone so quiet today? The teacher, an old man with deep scars, paused. He looked outside. The sky was clear. The air was heavy. He turned to the child. Because sometimes, he said, the ones you hurt the most are the ones who stay quiet the longest. 3 Earth fleets moved into position. No news reported it. No one announced it, but the stars near. Drex space began to vanish again one by one. Not because of night, because of ships. Black, silent, armed, and hungry. Crevel received one final message before his main. Capital ship lost all contact. It was just a video. Grainy, old. From Earth, it showed 10 Drex prisoners, kneeling, bound, silent, behind. Them stood humans. They weren't smiling. They weren't angry. They were just. Cold, the human in front, looked into the camera. No more broadcasts, he said. Then the screen cut to black, and Crevel understood. This wasn't war. It was punishment, and Earth had only just begun. The galaxy waited. They had seen the broadcast. They had watched the executions. And now, Earth said nothing. No reply. No war declarations. No demands. Just silence. For some, that was a relief. For others, it was terrifying, because they knew. When Earth goes quiet, something is coming. Something old. Something angry. Something cold. In a tall tower inside the Galactic Senate, diplomats met in secret. There were no cameras, no reporters, only fear. A Harnock ambassador stood first. Greenskin looked pale under the lights. We warned the Drex not to provoke Earth. He said, they didn't listen. A Drex senator slammed his hand on the table. We showed the galaxy our power. You showed them murder, shouted an Alvari representative. And Earth doesn't forget. Bah. Earth is one planet. One. We are thousands. Exactly, another whispered. And now they know who to target first. The room fell quiet, because everyone in that chamber had watched the broadcast. Some had clapped, Some had stayed silent, and all of them knew Earth. Had seen on Earth deep below the Rocky Mountains, a command bunker opened after 30 years. It had no name, no map, location. It wasn't supposed to exist. Inside it, 3 men sat at a round table. They weren't politicians. They weren't even current generals. They were old, gray, forgotten. But now, they had been called back. "Is the signal confirmed?" one asked. "Yes," replied a younger officer. "The Leviathan ships are waking. Time frame? For days. Then they'll be ready." The old man nodded. "Good. And the Titan?" The room grew still. Another officer spoke softly. "She's alive, waiting." The first man closed his eyes. "So they really did it," he whispered. "They killed them on camera." He opened a drawer and took out a small device. It had one button. On it, the word "Unleash." But he didn't press it. Not yet. Earth would. Strike, but only when ready. In Drek's space, tension grew. Patrols doubled. Stations scanned the stars every second. But they saw nothing. The humans weren't coming. They just waited. And the silence made everyone nervous. Drek's officers shouted at their soldiers. "Cowards. Humans are weak. We killed 10 of them like insects." But still, none slept easy, because silence isn't peace. It's the sound before thunder. A strange thing began to happen across the galaxy. Some alien races, ones who had once feared Earth, began locking their borders. They turned off comms. They shut down trade. They didn't do it out of strength. They did it out of guilt. They had watched the broadcast. They had done nothing. Now they wondered, would Earth remember their silence? Would Earth see them as enemies too? One planet, Tazra 4, even sent an official message to Earth. "We had no part in the executions. Please do not bring your war to our skies." There was no reply. The message was marked red. But Earth didn't answer. Not yet. On the edge of the solar system, a massive object moved. Dark, round, alive. It was the Titan. Not a ship. It's not a station. Something in between. Built in secret. Forgotten by most. Feared by those who knew. Titan had no crew. No bridge. It had only one purpose. Punish those who broke Earth's final rule. Never harm Earth's people in front of the stars. Now that rule was broken, and Titan had orders. She woke without words. Engines hummed, weapons armed, shields raised inside. Her heart, old AI cores reactivated. Their first memory? The 10 humans, executed. On camera, the AI. It didn't speak, but its logic burned with one command. Bring the stars to their knees. General Rourke stood on the rooftop of a tall bunker. Cold wind hit his face. He stared at the sky. A young officer approached. "Sir," he said, "commands asking if you want to issue the first strike." Rourke didn't answer at first. He looked up. The stars seemed peaceful, calm, but he knew better. "They want to know," Rourke said softly, "if we're serious." The officer nodded. "Yes, sir." Rourke turned slowly. "Tell them we're not sending a message." "Sir, we're sending a warning shot. To the Dreks." Rourke smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. "No," he said. "To the galaxy." On a Dreks colony world, families were sleeping. The night was calm. Lights flickered in the streets. Soldiers patrolled in silence. Then the sky opened. A fireball roared through the atmosphere. No alarm rang. No ship appeared. Just light, heat, and then nothing. When other planets tried to contact that colony, there was no answer. Satellites showed only a smoking crater where the city had been. No message. No signature. Just silence. The Galactic Senate received the report in the middle of a crisis meeting. "Another Dreks world has gone dark," said the aide. "Any survivors?" the senator asked. "No." "Any clues?" "Only this," the aide said. He showed a small hologram. It was a symbol, a burning Earth, with 10 stars above it, each star crossed out. The message was clear. Each star meant a life. Each strike meant revenge. Earth was counting. Cravel, sitting in his golden throne, finally began to feel something he hadn't felt in decades. Fear. The silence was killing him. He had sent ships. None returned. He had sent messages. None were answered. And now colonies were disappearing. No battles. No explosions, just gone. His advisors argued. Send the full fleet. Ask for help. Blame the Elvari. But Cravel stared at the stars. None of that will work, he said. Why not? One asked. Because Earth is not at war. And what are they doing? Cravel looked down. They are punishing. On a hidden relay satellite, a message looped silently. Only a few intercepted it, but those who did trembled. The message read, We are not coming for peace. We are not here to speak. You killed our people for all to see. Now we act. You watched. You clapped, and we remember. Earth, the silence ended, but not with sound. It ended with vengeance, and the galaxy realized. Too late. Earth wasn't just watching. Earth was hunting. Across the stars, fear had a new name. It was not the Drex. It was not war. It was Earth. For many years, Earth had been quiet. It sent diplomats. It made peace, signed galactic treaties, and followed the rules. But the rules had been broken, and Earth was no longer quiet. Whole planets had disappeared. Colonies had gone dark. Ships had vanished. No battles, no warnings, just silence, some said. Earth was using new weapons. Others said Earth had awakened something ancient. They were both right, because the galaxy had forgotten. Earth's greatest secret, humanity, never stopped building. They just hid everything in the old ruins of an abandoned space yard orbiting Neptune. Something moved. A light blinked once. Then again. Then rows of lights flickered on like eyes opening after a long sleep. Massive hangars opened their doors. Dust and ice fell off steel. Inside, rows of machines sat waiting. Not ships. Not tanks. Something older. Something forgotten. The machines were called the Ghosts, a secret project from Earth's darkest days. No AI, no crew, only code and pain each. Machine had a memory. Each one was built from wreckage of Earth's bloodiest wars. And now, the code had one new message. The galaxy watched them die. So the ghosts woke and began to march. On the moon colony base, Luna 3, old commander walked into a vault that hadn't been opened in 60 years. His name was Admiral King. He had retired a long time ago. People thought he had died. But now Earth's secret command had summoned him. The vault was cold, silent. Inside, a large console stood. Under layers of ice, he wiped it clean and pressed a single button. The screen came alive. System online, it said. Reconnecting to GhostNet. Liberal. King stared at the code, and he whispered, God help them all. Because the GhostNet was awake, and it would not stop until the debt was paid. The Drex began to panic. 3 more outposts had gone silent. One fleet tried to scan deep space, looking for Earth ships, but they found nothing. No signals, no trails, just emptiness. Then their own scanners turned on them. Before they could react, their own ships exploded from inside. How? Screamed the Admiral. The answer came 1 second before his death, a small whisper in the coms. We were always inside. In the galactic core, a young analyst from the peaceful Valari species pulled old Earth data from an ancient archive. She read in silence. Her eyes grew wide. Then she ran to her leaders. They didn't stop the war machine, she said. They just buried it. What are you talking about? Asked her superior. The humans. They didn't disarm after the peace treaty. They hid their weapons. They spread them across moons, asteroids, stars. It's not a defense system. It's a trap. The room fell silent. She whispered the last line. Earth was never preparing for peace. They were preparing for betrayal. On Earth's side of the galaxy, skies began to shift. Telescopes caught strange shadows. Weapons hidden in rings of planets began to glow. A satellite near Saturn exploded. Not from attack, but from pressure. Something massive had just passed through. Something. Silent, something cloaked. Reports flooded in. Unidentified objects entering enemy space. Colony gone. No trace. Ships disabled without a shot. One message was leaked from a dying Drex soldier. They don't speak. Don't shout. They just look at you and you die. The ghosts had arrived. Cravel. The Drex High. Marshall stood before his war council. He looked thinner now. Older. He had not slept in days. Where are they? He asked. No one knows, replied a general. They don't leave trails. They don't reply to hails. They don't even then how do they fight? Cravel interrupted. The general paused and said, they don't. Gravel narrowed. His eyes. Explain. The general's voice shook. They erase. In deep Drex territory, capital city woke up to alarms. Unknown ships were in orbit, all power shut off. Gravity. Changed, time slowed. People screamed. And then, everything stopped. No explosions, no weapons, just dash gone. Satellites recorded one image. A single human figure, standing in the city square. Its body shimmered. It's like smoke and fire. Its face covered by a steel mask. No eyes, no mouth, no voice. Just presence. Then it vanished, and so did the city. Earth's revenge was not loud. It was not proud. It was a shadow moving through stars. Memory with teeth. The Drex had killed 10 humans. Earth had counted every breath, every scream, every tear. And now, Earth was erasing the Drex from history. One colony at a time. A message appeared in the Galactic Senate chamber. No. One knew who sent it. It was not from Earth, but it felt like Earth. The message said, do not ask for peace. Do not beg for mercy. The time for that is over. You showed the galaxy what you thought of us. Now we show the galaxy who we really are. The message ended with a single image, 10 lights on a black field. Each light blinked once, then disappeared. 1, 2, 3, until none remained. And the Senate chamber lights shut off. Some tried to speak to Earth. They sent messages of sorrow, apologies, even gifts, but Earth did not reply. The only answer was silence and shadows and the cold breath of ghosts that moved. Through stars like smoke, the kind of ghosts that don't forgive, the kind that carry the weight of 10 lost lives, General Rourke stood in the dark watching the stars. A soldier approached. Sir, she said, the last Drex fleet has gone. Dark Rourke nodded. Shall we stop? She asked. He turned slowly. Do you stop halfway through a funeral? He said. She lowered her eyes. No, sir. Rourke looked at the stars again. Good, he said, because the ghosts aren't finished yet. Again far away, in a void where nothing should have lived. A single human voice echoed in the dark. They thought we forgot. But Earth never forgets. The first retaliation came like a whisper. No drums, no warning, no flag, just a single, shipped out, ugly, but it carried a storm. It came from Earth's deep vaults, rebuilt in silence, hidden for decades. Its name was the Black Hammer, and it was made for one thing, revenge. The Black Hammer was not large. It was not fast. It was not pretty. But its armor was older than the war laws. Its weapons were forbidden on most worlds, and its captain had no orders to negotiate. Only one command: make them remember. The Drex colony of Varnock Prime was busy that day. Ships flew in and out of orbit. Miners dug deep into the ground. Merchants traded metals. Families lived normal lives. They thought the war was over. They thought the broadcast had ended Earth's courage. They were wrong at 4:32 station time. The skies above Varnock Prime turned black. One ship appeared. Just one, no signal. No ID. Dutch Rex. Orbital Defense scanned it. Old Earth ship, the officer said, laughing. It's a museum piece. Should we destroy it? No need, the captain said. They sent a joke. The Drex aimed their cannons, but the cannons didn't fire. They were already offline. The Black Hammer disabled every system in the colony in 2 seconds. Then it fired once. Not a laser, not a missile. Something else. A pulse, and Varnock Prime every machine, every satellite, every shield shut down. Lights died, ships fell. Even time itself seemed to freeze. The Drex screamed, and then the second weapon launched. It had no name, just energy. It did not explode. It erased. One moment. Varnock Prime was a living city. The next, it was glass. Smooth, silent, dead in the galactic. Senate panic spread fast. They destroyed Varnock Prime. With one ship? How is that possible? They're not fighting like before. They're using shadows. The Senate tried to send a message to Earth, but Earth didn't respond. Instead, the Black Hammer sent one. It played only once. Every screen across the galaxy lit up. It showed. The 10 humans dash again, still kneeling, still bleeding, still helpless. Then the words appeared. We did not forget. Then Varnock Prime's image before, and after, then silence. The galaxy screamed. All the ones who had clapped during the execution video shook with fear, because Earth was no longer quiet. Earth was awake, and Earth was angry. On a deep Drex, command ship Admiral Vexer shouted orders. Find that ship. Send 3 fleets. Now. But when they searched, there was no Black Hammer. It had already gone. No trail. No signal. Nothing. The Admiral shook in rage. Where is it? Go. A message arrived. 1 sentence, no sender. Just words burned into the screen. We walk where your maps end. In a small colony on the edge of neutral space, a child saw something in the sky, a streak of fire, then nothing. But hours later, her planet lost power. Her father ran outside. The crops were dead. The machines were silent. Then they heard a sound, a low hum. Not from the sky, but from the ground. Then a voice from the clouds. Your silence was your choice. The child didn't understand, but her father did, because 2 years ago, when Earth asked for help, this colony had refused. Now, Earth remembered, and silence was no longer protection. Far away, deep in the dark zones of space, General Rourke walked. Through a command hallway, the lights flickered. Screens showed red alerts. He looked calm. One officer walked beside him. Sir, Black Hammer completed the mission. No survivors. Good, Rourke said. But, sir, Varnock Prime was a civilian colony. Rourke stopped walking. He looked the officer in the eye. They executed 10 civilians on camera. The officer looked down. Yes, sir. We're not fighting an army, Rourke said. We're sending a message. What message, sir? Rourke's voice was cold. If you cheer while our people die, then your world will burn quietly. Not all were Drex. Some were from peaceful species, races who had laughed at Earth's pain, watched the broadcast, said nothing. Those planets were next, not with destruction, but reminders. One planet woke up with all their skies flashing red. Not a single system worked. No ships launched, no weapons activated. And in the sky, giant letters glowed. Watched, laughed, remembered. Then power returned. No one was hurt, but the fear didn't leave, because now they knew Earth was watching them too, in a secret Drex facility. Scientists worked on a superweapon, something to stop Earth. They thought it was hidden. They were wrong, eh? A small drone entered the base. No one saw it. It flew to the center and played a sound, the sound of the 10 human screams, over and over. Then it exploded, not with fire but with sound. Every Drex in the base went mad. The base still stands, but no one inside is sane. The first retaliation was not about war. It was not about conquest. It was about pain. It was about memory. Earth had not forgotten, and the Black Hammer was only the beginning. On the edge of a dying star system, stars flickered once. A new ship arrived, sleek, silent, bright red eyes on its hull. A. Name painted in black. Reckoner. It sent one signal. 10 dead. 100 to answer.
This
Is justice. Then it vanished. The galaxy understood now. This was not war. This was reckoning. And Earth had only just begun. The Galactic Senate had never been this quiet. Not during plague, not during rebellion, not even during the last great war. But now, silence. No shouting, no arguments, only fear. Because Earth had returned, and it was not asking questions. It was giving answers each day. Another world went dark. Each night, another station vanished. The names changed. The reasons didn't. All of them had watched the broadcast. All of them had stayed silent. And now, Earth remembered. In the center of the Senate chamber, the Speaker of Stars stood, his voice shaking. We must open talks with Earth. This cannot continue. They are not answering, said an Elveri diplomat. Then we must make them listen. How? Someone shouted. They don't send ambassadors. They send ships. A large Drek senator slammed his fist on the table. This is not justice. This is madness. An insectoid from the Rackery species turned its many eyes toward him. You killed their people live, and sent the video across every system. What did you expect? They were rebels. They were civilians. They were human. The Drek senator stood. Are you taking Earth's side now? No, the Rackery replied. I'm trying to stay alive. Across the chamber, whispers spread like fire. They're next. We're next. Earth is coming. In the private quarters behind the chamber, secret meetings began. Old enemies sat together. Quiet races, minor worlds. Even smugglers, all with one thought. How do we survive? One pirate lord, a scarred alien named Vesul, spoke first. Laughed when they executed those humans, he said. Now half my crew is dead, the rest gone mad. They didn't fire on us. They just turned our ship into dust. A silent merchant nodded. My station hosted the broadcast, we thought. It would boost ratings. Now, our whole moon is missing. I don't even know how that's possible. They don't want apology, whispered a voice in the back. They want memory and pain. Pause. Then one voice said it out loud, a word everyone feared. Extinction. On a jungle planet named Zahara, a group of scientists discovered an Earth drone buried in the forest. It was silent, old, covered in moss. They took it back to their lab as they cut it open. The power turned on, the screen blinked. It showed the faces of the 10 humans again. Then a message. You hosted the execution. We waited. We watched. Now it's your turn. The jungle burned that night. By morning, the lab was gone. So was the planet's orbiting station. Not destroyed, just missing. As if erased back in the Senate, motion was passed in secret. They would offer Earth full control of 3 systems. As peace, as tribute. But before they could send the offer, a human ship arrived. Not over a battlefield, but right over the Senate planet itself. No war. No warning. Just a shadow that darkened half the sky. The ship didn't fire, didn't move, it just floated and watched. Panic began. Ships launched. Civilians screamed. Senators fled, but the human ship stayed still. Then, a single message came. We know where you hide. We know what you did. We never forget. Senate security scrambled. Fighters locked on the human vessel, but before they could attack, the human ship disappeared. No warp signature, no engine flash, just gone. The Senate shook. Not from bombs, from the truth. Earth could reach them anywhere, anytime, and there was no defense. A senator from the aquatic world of Vestral sat alone, crying. We were scared, she whispered. We didn't help them. Now they're punishing everyone. An aide tried to comfort her. They won't destroy everyone, he said. She shook her head. No, she said. They're not destroying. It would be mercy. And across the chamber, more senators realized it too. This was not a war. This was not conquest. this was something worse. This was judgment. Earth still hadn't spoken directly, no. Press conference, no leader, no public message. Just ships, just silence, and a slow, cold hand removing one planet at a time in a small border world, a lone survivor. Sent a final message before the power cut off. He whispered into the camera, "I heard them. I heard the humans. Not their voices, but their footsteps." His eyes were wide with fear. They were inside the walls. They were in the machines. They looked at us and the world just broke. Then static, the feed ended. The planet never answered. Again, the Speaker of Stars met privately with the Drex ambassador. "Call them," the speaker begged. "Tell Earth you regret the executions." The Drex looked away. "I can't." "Why?" The Drex's hands trembled. "Because we did. More than kill them," he whispered. "We made them weak. We made them beg, and we smiled."
Ow!
The speaker stepped back, horrified. "Then may the stars forgive us," he said. And for the first time in recorded Senate history, no one argued, because they knew Earth would not. Back on Earth in a mountain facility deep below the surface, General Rourke stood in a dark room. Screens showed reports from across the stars, destroyed stations, empty planets, panic in the Senate, behind him. The voice of the Titan AI spoke softly. "Shall I end it now?" Rourke closed his eyes. "No." He said, "Why?" Rourke's voice was cold, because they still think they can escape it. Above a dead moon near the galactic rim, a black Earth drone floated silently. A message played again and again. No sound. Just 10 faces, each one blinking. Slowly, each one fading into black, and underneath, "This is not the end. This is only memory. And memory is forever." The stars were quiet, too quiet. Entire systems had gone dark. Stations stopped transmitting. Planets no longer answered calls at first. The galaxy believed Earth was sending small drones, secret assassins. But now they saw it. The fleets, they came. From the edge of the galaxy, they moved without sound. No lights, no warnings. Just shadows. Each ship looked like a knife. Made from night itself, sharp, long, covered in black metal that absorbed light, and they didn't travel fast. They didn't need to. They knew the galaxy would watch. They wanted it to, the first planet to see. The fleet was called Sorin-3, a peaceful world. Farms, music, no weapons. They had once played the broadcast of the execution. To entertain tourists, now, their skies filled with darkness. One by one, the reckoning ships appeared. Massive ships, silent, floating above every major city. The people panicked. Children, governors begged. "We didn't mean harm. It was a mistake. Please." No reply. Then the sky cracked. Not with bombs, but with light. A beam brighter than the sun fell from the clouds, erased the capital city in 1 second. Then it stopped the other ships, remained watching, waiting, and the world understood. This was not a war. This was a warning. In a deep space prison, orbiting a blue star. A guard watched the Earth fleet on his screen. He whispered to himself, shaking, "Why aren't they talking? Why aren't they asking?" A prisoner, an old human who had survived. The original war smiled from his cell. "Because they don't need to ask anymore," the man said. "They already know." News spread faster than light. Whole sectors shut down their trade routes. All patrols retreated. No one dared fire. Every admiral knew if you fired at a reckoning ship, your entire fleet disappeared. No battle, no survivors, just silence. One station. Tried one brave or foolish general launched. Full attack against the incoming fleet. 10,000 ships fired at once. It looked like a sun exploding. And when the light faded, Earth's ships were still there. Not scratched, not moved. Still. Silent, and then the return. A single blue pulse. Everything died. Not just ships entire. Stars dimmed. That general was never mentioned again. On a hidden moon. The last survivors of a once mighty criminal cartel hid underground. They had helped capture the 10 humans. Long ago, they laughed as they sold their pain to the highest bidder. Now, they watched a human fleet above them. One leader, old and bitter, looked up. "Do you think they know we're here?" he asked. The younger one beside him shook. They already knew. And then the walls began to shake. Not from weapons, from gravity. The entire moon bent inward, like paper crumbling in a child's hand. And then, nothing in the Galactic Senate panic became policy. Evacuate core worlds. Send gifts to Earth. Beg if we have to. A few senators still resisted. We are the law. They are outlaws. But no one listened anymore, because Earth didn't need laws. Earth was now the punishment. General Rourke stood on the bridge of the Revenant. Earth's largest warship. Behind him, the Titan AI glowed softly. Reports came in, every hour. Another world. Fell quiet. Another system surrendered without a word. Another fleet vanished. Rourke said nothing. His eyes were cold, focused. He wasn't angry. He wasn't happy. He was carrying out a sentence. Some humans across the galaxy sent messages to the fleet. "Stop. You've done enough. This isn't who we are." But the reckoning fleet did not reply, because they were not just human anymore. They were memory-made steel. They were revenge wrapped in gravity and fire, and they would continue. Until it was finished. One world, a peaceful research colony named Velta Prime, tried something different. They opened every screen across the planet and showed the broadcast again, the same video. 10 human prisoners. The execution, their faces, their last words. The galaxy had watched it once and laughed now. They cried because this time, something was different. The video paused, zoomed, enhanced, and in the background, hidden behind the prisoners. They saw something no one had noticed before. A child, small, terrified, holding a broken toy watching, and in that child's eyes, rage. A quiet message appeared under the screen. "You made us watch. Now we return the favor." Even the stars felt colder. Even machines refused to work when Earth's fleet came near. AI. Systems failed. Weapons jammed. Sensors saw ghosts. One alien priest whispered, "Their pain is now a force of nature." And then the fleet stopped. Not because the job was finished, but because they were waiting for the next name on the list, waiting for the next planet that had smiled during the execution. There were still many, and Earth remembered them all. The galaxy was not just afraid now, it was on its knees. The reckoning fleets had moved through the outer sectors, one after another. Systems that once laughed at Earth were now dark and silent. Cities were gone, stations drifted empty. Space itself seemed colder, and yet Earth had not spoken a single word. They never gave orders, never asked for surrender, never made demands. They only came, watched, judged, and then they acted. Every world knew. If Earth's black ships arrived above your skies, you had already been judged, and soon the last guilty planets would face them. They were afraid, and now they began to beg. The planet Kolvax was first. They had been a trading hub during the days of the execution. They sold tickets to watch the prisoners die. Tourists came, drank wine, laughed, and cheered. Kolvax had made money from Earth's pain. Now, they used that same money to try and survive. They sent signals. Thousands. We were only businessmen. We followed orders. We were just trying to survive. Their leaders built a giant golden statue of a human child holding a peace flag. They broadcast it across space, but the Earth fleet didn't answer. Not at first, then. One of their black ships turned slightly, faced the statue, fired once. The statue disappeared in white fire. The fleet didn't move again. They just stayed above Kolvax for 2 full days, blocking the sun, until the people inside the cities began to scream from cold and fear. And then the ships left. Kolvax thought they were safe. But when they looked up again, All their satellites were gone. Every orbital defense was dust. Every space station vanished. They were left completely alone. No protection, no connection, no light. Only silence. Next was Verena Prime, a world famous for art and music. They had turned the execution into a performance, actors dressed like humans. Reenactments, plays, songs. Their most famous song was called 10 Died, 1 Laughed. They had played it for centuries. Now the Earth fleet had come. No. 1 cheered now. The singers were the first to run. The actors tore down their posters, burned the stage. But it was too late. The reckoning fleet hovered above. Every concert hall, the message was clear. You made entertainment from pain. Now you will know silence. Verena Prime's oceans began to rise. Tides shifted unnaturally. The air grew thin. The fleet wasn't firing weapons. They were adjusting gravity, changing the planet's shape itself. And Verena learned, Earth didn't need bombs. They could rewrite the laws of nature. The people screamed prayers into the sky, but the only answer was cold. Wind and flickering lights. Then the fleet left. Verena's capital collapsed. 2 weeks later, from storms no one could stop. They begged again. No reply ever came. In the central core of the galaxy sat Jundal, a rich world, powerful, full of lords and nobles. They thought they were safe. They had never shown the execution. They had never spoken against Earth. But they had done something worse. They had watched and stayed silent. They could have stopped it. They could have helped, but they didn't. Now the sky burned. Earth's ships arrived quietly. As always, the nobles laughed at first. What can they do to us? Their admirals launched ships, but those ships never returned. Not one. Some disappeared. At mid-dash flight, some turned around and fired on their own cities. Before crashing, the humans had taken control of their minds. Not with tech, not with viruses, but with fear. Even machines were afraid now. The nobles ran underground, built bunkers, shields. They thought Earth would stop. But Earth's fleet began to melt the crust of the planet. Not fast, very slow, as if saying, "We will not kill you quickly. You will feel what we felt," a senator begged, crying on camera. We didn't know. But a surviving human from the execution's time responded, "You knew. Yeah, you just didn't care." Jundal went quiet 3 days later, melted from the inside, the planet Norexus. Tried a different way. They had a long history with Earth before the fall. Trade, friendship, shared science, they said. We didn't support the execution, and that was true. But when Earth needed help, Norexus had shut their gates. They had done nothing, and Earth had not. Forgotten the humans didn't destroy their cities, didn't fire a single weapon. Instead, they hacked every screen on the planet and played the broadcast, not once, not twice. Endlessly, every wall. Every speaker. Every device showed the same thing. The humans, the chains, the guns, the 10 words they screamed, and their deaths. Over and over. Children saw it in school. Parents couldn't. Turn it off, no one could. Then Earth sent a single line of text. "This is what you ignored." And then Earth left. But the video didn't stop. It kept playing forever. A wound that would never close. The final guilty world was Drask. Minor. The worst of them all. They had built the execution devices. They had tested them, laughed as the humans, burned. And they had kept one of the original execution chairs in their museum for tourists. Now, the reckoning fleet arrived. All of it. Not one ship, not 10. All of them. Every ship. Earth had sent into the galaxy gathered above Drask. The people cried out, built a tower of apology, dropped flowers, sent peace drones. And finally, they did what no other world had tried. They brought a child forward, half-dash human, born from a survivor, long ago. And they made her beg on camera. "Please," she said, "my mother died here. My father was human. We didn't choose this. Let us live." The Earth ships paused. For the first time, they moved back slightly. There was hope, silence, and then reply. A voice, cold, digital, female, but full of sadness. The child may live. The rest of you chose this. And then light so. Much light Drask vanished. Only one escape pod survived inside it. The child alone, floating, crying, but alive. Across the stars, people watched. Watched as worlds burned. Watched as the reckoning fleets rewrote power no longer was. Earth the weak one. Earth had become the storm, the judge, the executioner, some planets. Now asked, what will they do after this? But Earth had not said, no message, no plan. They were still remembering, and until they were finished, the stars would continue to fear the silence. The stars were quiet again. No more burning planets. No more screaming leaders. No more begging signals. Only silence. But it was a different silence now. Before, the galaxy had laughed at Earth's silence. Now, they feared it more than death, because silence meant Earth was thinking. And no one wanted to know what they would decide next. The reckoning fleets had disappeared, one by one. The black ships turned and vanished into the dark. No messages, no promises, no warnings. They left behind ashes and memories. Some systems tried to rebuild, others shut themselves off completely. Many just stared at the sky, waiting for the next fleet to come. But days passed, weeks, months. Nothing happened. Had Earth finished? Was it over? Or was this just the beginning? Deep in the shattered remains of the Galactic Council, the few surviving leaders met. Their robes were torn, their flags burned, their faces full of fear. There were no speeches now, no votes, no pride, only one question remained. What does Earth want? No one had an answer. They had taken revenge. Yes, they had destroyed the guilty. Yes, but Earth had not claimed territory, had not planted flags, had not taken power. They just left. And that made them even more terrifying, because the galaxy realized something. Earth was not interested in ruling. They were only interested in remembering, and that kind of enemy cannot be controlled. Then it happened. On the edge of space, near the old wreckage of Earth's first lost colony, signal appeared. It was not broadcast on military channels, not through war networks. It was sent on the oldest frequency of all. The one Earth used before the galaxy even knew it existed. Radio. Simple. Slow. Basic. A. Whisper across the stars. The first planets to hear it froze. Then they played it. And the message echoed everywhere. One human voice. Calm. Soft. Tired. But filled. With power, we remember everything. We remember who laughed, who watched, who stayed silent. We remember the pain, the fire, the emptiness. We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are what you made us. We have no empire, no crown. But we have one thing no one else does. We have the will to stand alone. We are human. We are done bleeding. Then the signal changed. Music began to play. Not a battle march. It's not a victory song. It was soft, beautiful. A song from Earth's ancient history. A woman's voice. Singing in a language most aliens didn't understand, but they didn't need to. The sadness in the voice cut through time and stars. Even machines paused to listen. Even war-hardened generals felt tears rise. It was the voice of a people who had suffered beyond measure and had survived anyway. That was Earth's final signal, not a threat, not a weapon, a reminder that they were still here and that they would always be here. After the signal ended, something changed, not in Earth, but in the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, the outer colonies sent gifts to Earth, not bribes, gifts, seeds, books, art. Some sent letters of apology, others sent poems. One sent a sculpture of a human hand holding a star. No reply ever came, but the fleets didn't return either. And slowly, life began again. Trade opened. Borders softened. New councils were formed, ones that included humans. Not because Earth asked, but because the galaxy feared what would happen if they were excluded again. Years passed, and then one final event changed everything. On a quiet moon near the center of the galaxy, a monument was built, not by humans, but by thousands of alien races together. A circle of stone in the middle, 10 empty chairs. No names, only a simple plaque. To the 10 who died so humanity would never be forgotten. We were wrong, you were right. Forgive us. Every year, thousands came, not to celebrate, but to remember. Even the youngest races, who had never seen the execution, never lived through. The Fire were taught one thing: never forget Earth. Not because they were powerful, not because they had ships, but because they were something more terrifying than all of that. They were a people who never stopped fighting for memory. And in that memory, they had become something unstoppable. Not just a race, not just a species, but a warning and a legend. The kind that never dies. Back on Earth. The skies were quiet. No more fleets. No more broadcasts. Only stars. The humans walked freely now, heads high, not proud. Just ready, because they knew something no one else did. The galaxy would always change. New threats would rise. New enemies would come. But Earth would be ready, because they were born from loss, forged in silence, and armed with something far more dangerous than weapons remembrance, and a single promise whispered across the stars: never again.